Like so many of you, I am one of the lucky ones, raised in a loving family where all of my basic needs were met. I have caring parents and annoying siblings. I spent much of my teen years surrounded by young children. I was a camp counselor in the summer, and I babysat all through high school and college. Well-meaning adults would often say to me, "You're going to have lots of children one day." And I would think, well, what if I can't? When it came time for my husband and me to start our family, we were unable to conceive a biological child. So we chose to add to our family through adoption. I'd like to introduce you to some of my children. This is Jennifer. She's 10 years old. This girl loves to be outside. Her favorite thing to do is ride her bike. She'd ride around all day and night if she could. She says it makes her feel free. When she has to come inside from riding, she often feels scared and lonely. This is Joseph. He's 14. Isn't he handsome? He's kind of quiet. Some people would say he's shy. He spends most of his time in his room playing Fortnite or reading his sci-fi books. And he doesn't seem to have too many friends. It's hard to make friends when you keep changing schools. This is Isabella and Sophia. Isabella's 12 actually, and Sophia's 7. These sisters love to be together. They get along better than most siblings. Sophia has some learning challenges, and Isabella's always trying to help her. My wish for Isabella is that she could just be a kid and not always take care of her little sister. This is Sarah. She's 17. She had been in 10 different foster placements between the ages of 13 and 16. She attended 8 different schools. She says she wants to be a social worker. She wants to help people. Unfortunately, she knows what it's like to have parents that don't treat you right. While I may be a proud adoptive parent, these are not just my children. These are all of our children. Each one of them has spent some period of time living in our foster care system, having lived amongst us with everyone assuming that they have their own permanent family. But the truth is, they don't. They all long for the same thing: someone who will love them, somebody who will care about them. All they want is a family. Fortunately, many people have answered that call. Just last year, 710 children were adopted out of our state's foster care system. That's 710 lives that will be forever changed. Their children and their children's children will know the love and support of a family. Unfortunately, there are over 6,000 children that are living here in our foster care system and hundreds of thousands nationwide. Out of no fault of their own, these children have been placed into a broken system that is meant to protect them, that should not define them. But unfortunately, it often does. Many of the children that I mentioned that were adopted were under the age of 10, leaving our older youth to languish in the system, feeling like nobody cares about them, or worse yet, that they're unworthy of being adopted. I once heard a speaker. She was sharing her adoption story. She was adopted the day before her 18th birthday, along with her 16-year-old brother. She spoke about how adoption changed the course of her life, where she was headed prior to meeting her adoptive parents, which was a life on the streets. She had already spent a period of time there, and where she is today, this strong, confident young woman who can share her story with other potential families. She said that when you look into a child's eyes, when they're 6 months old, 6 years old, or 16 years old, the same eyes are looking back at you. But the time and attention that you give that 16-year-old will pay off far sooner. You may be thinking, 16? Aren't they almost grown? They're going to be leaving the nest and not need us anymore. We won't have time to nurture them, support them. When you left home for the first time, whether it be to go to college or live on your own, who helped you emotionally? Who helped you financially? Who did you call when you were sick or you had a flat tire? If you did go to college, where did you go on your holiday break? I assume many of you are saying family, home. At what age did you change your emergency contact from your parents to your friend or spouse? At what age did you not need your family? Our family is our foundation and support system that's there for us throughout our lifetime, no matter what. We are never too old to need a family. Each year, 20 to 25,000 children age out of foster care without being adopted. 20% of these children become instantly homeless. 70% of all young women will have children of their own within 2 years of leaving this system, often restarting that vicious cycle of foster care involvement. 80% of our current prison population has spent some period of time in foster care. 80%. These children are our future, and we're failing them. Children who are adopted or who have one caring adult fare far better than the children I just mentioned. Many of our youth will overcome these negative outcomes with trauma-informed therapy and the love and support of a family. Remember Sarah, our 17-year-old? She was adopted by her group home parent. She's now 21, and she's living on her own, and she's in school to be a social worker. She said that her mom gave her the strength and courage to go out on her own, and she knows that she'll never truly be alone again. I recently had the pleasure of attending the adoption of Rusty, a 17-and-a-half-year-old, who was adopted by a 72-year young man who goes by Pops. At his adoption proceeding, Rusty told the judge that when he was placed in Pop's home on his 17th birthday, that it was the best birthday gift he could ever ask for. He said that Pops had motivated him to be healthier and active, and he had actually lost 20 pounds since being in his home. He said that Pops cared about his grades, and therefore it motivated him to do better. He's graduating later this month, and he's going to college to be an engineer. Pop said that Rusty had added a lot to his quiet life. Yeah. He had recently retired and knew he still had the time and energy to give to another young person. So he opened his home and his heart to fostering and adoption. I know that Rusty will be a success due to the love of Pops and his new family. You may be thinking, wow, this is great, but I'm not in a position to adopt. This may be true. Not everybody can adopt, but everybody can do something. Ask yourself, what role will I take? You can make a meaningful connection with a young person who's either living in foster care or who's about to age out. You can educate yourself on the needs of our youth and then advocate on their behalf. Often, our children are voiceless, and we may need to be their voice, especially at our state capitol. You can mentor, share your craft or skill, even invite a young person to shadow you at your workplace. You can volunteer or support a local organization that serves our foster youth. And you can get to know a child's story, especially one who's still waiting for his or her forever family. and then share their story with everyone you meet. You never know when you might be talking to their future family. As part of my job, I have the pleasure of interviewing children who are still waiting for their family. I recently asked a 13-year-old boy, what did he want in his adoptive family? And he just said, a person that I can rely on to keep me safe and who will not turn their back on me. Maybe you could be that person. We are never too old to need a family. Thank you.